YouTube, this is LV Dirt Biker here with another crazy contraption. This actually happens to be a torch adaptation for your propane or MAPP gas torch. And now what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the big round cylinder or the big round propane tanks. I'm talking about these skinny tanks here that are used for soldering copper pipe together, or heating things up. Now, I personally prefer MAPP because it burns hotter than propane. MAPP gas means pretty much mixed acetylene propane. Now, if you guys have ever used oxygen and acetylene torches, you know they get very hot. Now, MAPP tends to get a little hotter than propane does. Now, to make our torch adaptation, I went to Lowe's and I bought a few things. First of the things that I bought was this vinyl half-inch tubing. I've used this in some of my previous projects and it works pretty well. That is 10 feet. That costs like $3.75 at my Lowe's. Now, two other things you will need are pencil torch heads, adaptions for your propane or mixed acetylene propane tank, whatever. Now, this can open up. Now there's still gas trapped in there. Now when you take this off of the tank, make sure you open this up to make sure all the gas gets out. Now this cost around $11. This cost around $9. And the other part that you will need is just a normal pencil head part to the torch. Now see, this one doesn't have a valve or anything like this on here. It's just plain tube. Now, I just had that lying around because my dad's a plumber and, you know, he has all this stuff lying around that I can use. Now, you're going to need some PVC pipe that's 3/4 inch pipe. Now, I cut a notch on the top of here just for the hose clamp. Now, once again, my dad's a plumber. I had this lying around, so I used it. The other thing is you'll need two 1/2 inch, 25, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say here 1/4 inch hose clamp. Now, this will obviously be used for the hose. Now, that, and you will need a lighter. Okay, now, the hose clamps were about $1. Then, you know, everything else I just had lying around. So, altogether, it cost me probably around $20. Also, if you don't have a sparker lying around, it pretty much does that, and it sparks to ignite the torch, like that. Now, because we need the sparkers, because this doesn't have a self-igniter on it, we have to use like a lighter or something, or a sparker, whatever. Now, to start off, this 3/4 inch, it has to be 3/4 inch, because this fits snugly into the pipe, like that. This fits nice and snug. Okay, now to start off, we will take the pencil torch neck. Now, this will be the front of our torch. Now, what we'll need to do is we will have to take our lighter here. We will have to heat it up. Also, if you're wondering where I got this paracord bracelet from, actually I make them and sell them. You can, if you want to buy one, you can message me about it. But now we take our lighter and we heat this up. Now once we heat this up, it'll be malleable, but then it'll shrink once it cools down. It won't shrink much, but it will. Now we take it and we slip it over that. Now, I forgot to put the hose clamp on before I did this, so I'm going to have to pay the price by just having to go around tubing. That's one thing you got to make sure you do beforehand, before you start doing all this. You got to make sure you have the hose clamp on, otherwise you're going to have to do what I am doing right now. You know what? I'm actually just going to pull this back off, because I forgot to add the PVC pipe. Okay, now I have all that on. I will reheat this up again. on. Once again, I forgot the hose clamp before I started to heat. Oh, da, 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 da. Okay, there we go. Now we're ready. Okay, now we have that. All we will do is slip that on. Quickly, we will slip this over. I'll have to loosen this up. Now, once we have that, we will take a screwdriver or nut driver, whatever you want, and we will tighten that up. So, I'll take a flathead here. I don't really have the big part to it, but we'll take it. We shall tighten this up. Okay, now we can tighten that up if we want to later on. Now, one thing I did to this 3/4 inch is I cut a notch in it, like that, about halfway down, and then I cut it through here, so that the hose clamp will be able to go into there nicely. Now, we'll slip this on, we'll slip that over, and then, there we go, we got the torch handle. Now, to cut this, the PVC, just cut it to the length you want, and you really don't have to have it. I just have it to make it a little more sturdy, and you can hot glue it in place or whatever you want to do with it. So now that we got the torch head done, now we just work on the other end. This is a quick, simple project. I didn't even think of this until maybe a couple hours ago, and then I got in the car, went up to Lowe's, and got all the supplies. So now what we'll do is, this fits over here, slips on really easily. Now, see these holes here? We're not going to want to put the tubing much, we'll pass that, because this is actually part of a safety valve. Because see, the gas goes into here, safety valve right here, gas goes into here, and if for some odd reason that the safety valve fails, the flame gets sucked back into it, it'll go out these sides. So you don't want to put the tubing over it, like, you don't want to put it down that far. You want to keep it right at the end here. And you can see the safety valves on this head torch too, right there. Okay, so now, I'm not going to make the same dumb mistake again. I will put the hose clamp on first. Let me just open up the hose clamp part to this, just a little bit. I'll slip the hose clamp on. I'll take this and I'll heat it up. Okay, now I will slip this on. This should slip on fairly easily, being with that it's been all miled up. Now we'll take this, and I will tighten this a little bit by hand. And then once you have it tightened up like that, you can adjust it to any direction you want. So you have it tightened up like that, you're pretty much ready to go. You got these two parts, to operate it, you put the tank on, and you go, and then you ignite it at the end here, but pretty much, this is all it should look like right there. Again, fashionable paracord bracelet. Now, that should be the end of it. Now, you can make this, or I can make one for you, message me, or comment, or, any stuff like that. Alright, please rate and subscribe. I will get to you guys with a new video soon.